I am 36 years old and married to a wonderful man. We are the same age. My husband is every girl's dream. To make me happy, he created me all the conditions, helps me, supports me in all my hobbies, which is important financially too. He always loved me more than I loved him, but with the last few years I began to think that my respect and gratitude to him, my admiration for him as a highly qualified professional and just erudite intelligent man is gradually growing and will grow into love. And that with my husband I am lucky as anyone. I work remotely, my salary is tiny and does not grow as well as my career growth. Our relationship with my husband is long. He has been courting and wooing me for a long time. I feel confident and safe with my husband, like behind a stone wall. Our problem is that we lead different lifestyles and our hobbies are also different. I am very active and sporty. I do running and mountaineering, go on mountain hikes, climb to the top, just live it. I try to go to bed early and get up early, eat well if possible, eat little sugar, drink little alcohol. My husband leads a completely sedentary lifestyle, covering it up with the fact that he works very hard. He does work a lot, but he prefers to spend the evening hours, free from work, sitting in a hookah lounge, rather than go to the gym and work on his weight. On weekends, he can drink more than 1 bottle of wine and more than 1 liter of beer in an evening. He can do it on weekdays too. At night, he eats candy from the fridge, eats deliveries. We are both non-household, but he doesn't require any household involvement from me. And our large apartment is cleaned by a housekeeper. He also does not ask me to cook. And he himself does not show economic activity. The conflict of interest lasts for years. For years, I want to see a sexy, fit, athletic man around me. I gave him an ultimatum. Either you go to the gym or we get a divorce. With a squeak and a whimper, he went to the gym. 3 times a week, he goes to the gym for 45 minutes on the elliptical. Thanks for that. Last year, in August, on one of my climbs, we met Jay. He was the second guide in our group. It was sudden and unexpected for me. I don't communicate with many people in trekking, and here I got romantic interest from him at once. In the first days, I did not notice him at all until he complimented my figure. Well, and then he gave me poles, then with a backpack will help me, and one evening, when we sat next to each other for tea, he took my hand under the table and stroked. Honestly, I've only felt like that when I was 18. I realized that I needed to tell him that I was married, which I did, choosing the moment. We were lying on the grass, away from the rest of the group, our fingers intertwined. I was floating from his closeness, and in a trembling voice I told him that I had gotten married a year ago. My husband loved me very much. I loved him too. But it was difficult with him. He didn't share my interests. God, what a horrible thing to say. Yes, my interests exist because of my husband, because of his money. Jay replied that he wouldn't be a lover, that he had principles. He didn't socialize with married people and all that. Nevertheless, we spent the rest of the tour together, hiking together, climbing together, and on the descent down the mountain, as we waited for the car at base camp and lay under the stars in the dark, we kissed like we had never kissed before in our lives. I don't think I had ever been so breathless from kissing. I naturally forgot how to breathe, went into some kind of trance. Then there was a long drive to the airport. We did not shy away from each other's embrace. He kissed my neck and hair. I stroked his hands. He lives a 4-hour flight from where I live. Jay and I communicated by text message a lot. I started to think about how I could make it possible to fly to him for a weekend. But circumstances didn't allow me to do that yet. I tried to devalue Jay in my own eyes and think more about my husband. I started to think that Jay is a poor man with no education, no credit, and an unbelievable job. Why do I need him? He doesn't even live in a separate house, but with his parents. Well, he is handsome, well athletic, well got into my ideal of appearance. Well, we speak the same language. Well, interests common. Well, child, I first time in my life wanted to look at him. So what? He's just a sweet candy for a child. He does not write and does not offer anything. The most important thing in all this is that he does not love me. Against this background, everything else is not important. No, my husband is better. And against my better judgment, I wasn't getting better. I was thinking about Jay. I didn't want to do anything but lie face down in the wall. Like a love story, my life had no meaning. I fell asleep and woke up with his name. For the first time in my life, I realized what it meant to naturally long for a loved one. My husband flew in. He instantly realized that something was wrong with me, but I talked myself out of it by saying that I must be having a depressive episode. The weather was bad, and I just got discouraged. That's how I lasted a month. Next, I realized that I had nothing to lose, to humiliate myself in such a big way, and wrote Jay asking to talk. I said that I have never been so in love, that this month I barely survived, that I do not want to lose him, but while I cannot take and divorce my husband, and my husband loves me. I am good to him, I love him, of course I love him very much as a person. He told me he hadn't slept that month either. We just talked. That's where I thought it ended. I need to pick myself up in pieces, to get over my stupid no one needs love, to improve relations with my husband, and never again in my life do not allow myself this all, and better try to fall in love again with a man who is near and does everything for me. My husband, seeing my condition, suggested that we go to the mountains, saying, "Only the mountains save you." We went. I sat on the mountain for a while and revived a little. Every day I told myself that Jay was no match for me, that there was no future for us. I did everything I could to convince myself that I wasn't interested in hanging out with a guy with such a huge crown of equality and treasure. That he was ordinary and predictable. And most importantly, he's a beggar, and I'm used to not needing anything. My husband is gold. He indulges me in everything, supports me, but here's the main thing that bothers me. On work he has to go to different places, live there for a long time. And I want to live in one place, settled down. We need to start making a life for ourselves. Hanging around with suitcases for months on end is not the life you expect. One day, the first guide of the tour offers me in June to climb the peak I've been dreaming of for 3 years. Only on my own, privately, not on a commercial tour. Since I had been asking him for a long time, of course, I immediately agreed and bought the tickets on the same day. And the first person I see in the chat room I was added to is Jay. And he's flying over there too. I'm gonna see him. I haven't talked to him in a long time. It's been a crazy few days, but the only thing I've realized is that we have to try and make up. I'd rather have my hands and everything else shaking now while I'm home alone than in front of him and the whole party when we see each other when we get to the mountain. So a few days later, I got my act together and texted him. We talked like it hadn't been months, like we were chatting yesterday. I couldn't look at him, at those blue eyes, for which I've been sighing for more than half a year, at such a favorite face, at the small area where the beard doesn't grow. I know it by heart. I kissed him right there under the stars. I told him I thought about him every minute of those 4 months. He said the same thing. When I hung up the phone, I sat staring at the wall for half an hour and realized that my life had found love and meaning again, or rather had gone downhill again, to put it more accurately. We started socializing again on a regular basis. We mostly avoided my husband in texting and talking, but that was at first. Then more and more often Jay started having doorsteps and just pestered me with his "you're married." At first, I would guffaw, then ignore it, but at some point his whining about my husband became absolutely unbearable. We quarreled, and I was completely tired of my double life, tired of his endless doorsteps and incomprehensible rude jokes. It should be said that he also tired me with his calls. I sit with my husband, and he calls. I never try not to call anyone at all. In general, we lasted until June in this mode, until the trip. On the day of the meeting, I flew in late, and he arrived early. We agreed that he would meet me at the airport. I was so afraid. God, how I was worried, and I also thought how to tell him that jokes, but my conscience will not allow my husband to cheat. Naive. I was still waiting for the luggage, as he managed somehow through the security in this area to pass, just came up from behind, hugged me. I turned around, hugged him, and the world stopped at one point. From that moment until the moment of our parting, we did not let each other out of our hands literally. In cabs, in shared transfers everywhere. I don't have enough words to describe what happened next. I went into a trance at his touch. I've never had such intimacy in my life. I just dissolved in him. In the back of my mind, I was thinking that, my God, if my husband could behave like that in bed, I would never look at anyone else in my life. Jay did everything perfectly. It was just like in the movies. And he whispered sweet nothings in my ear. I have to say that my husband begs me for sex all the time, but I never want it with him. I had already decided that I was asexual and had problems, but in Jay's arms all my problems turned into one endless desire. I looked into his blue eyes and just sprang up. I was electrocuted as soon as he touched me. On the mountain in the tent, I fell asleep in his arms. If I tossed and turned during the night, he would kiss me and cover me with his sleeping bag. In the morning we would wake up. I would lie on his chest, and he would whisper in my ear how beautiful, tender, incredible, beloved I was, and how beautiful our children would be. A blonde, curly-haired girl like me, with his blue eyes, and a tall, athletic brunette boy like him. Those were, I think, the happiest days of my life. To be next to the one I love, to hold his hand, to listen to his breathing, to not think about worries and the future, nothing in the big world. We talked a lot, but it's an empty shaking of the air. He sees the situation well enough. Maybe that's why he doesn't throw everything categorically. We have circumstances. We went to our own cities. My husband flew in, and the first time we had sex, I felt physically sick. Remembering how just yesterday I was dissolving in Jay's arms and trying to feign interest in what my husband was doing, how awful. And it also makes me feel terrible that I'm betraying my husband. But Jay calls me every day. He misses me. He's almost stopped talking about my husband. What do I think about this situation? Of course that leaving my husband, and even coming to Jay expecting a fairy tale, I would be disappointed very quickly. With the lack of money, the change of routine, the perpetual swing in the relationship, and the passion will pass with time, and it will be quite thin. And at the same time, this is my chance to build a family on a huge, as in the movie Love, when you cannot move away from the person, when you just suffocate without him near. when for many months these feelings have not become a gram less, despite all the quarrels. Yes, and I cannot leave the usual way of life, a large general company, and what to say to parents, and what to say to everyone, and most importantly, how will my husband without me? Such a betrayal. I have formed two men and both want children from me, and I want to howl at this, not children. Which one should I choose? I'm just afraid to make a wrong choice and regret it later in life when nothing can be fixed.